we were going to kind of finish off with what do we need more of in our society and as people, as individuals and as communities, to experience more of this freedom. We need healthy people to start speaking out about what healthy love really is. And we need to get healthy ourselves first. We need to drop the judgment voice, because judgment is finished. Remember, Jesus did it at the cross. That was judgment. And so judgment is done now. Now there's no more fear of us being judged and sent to hell. Like, it's done. It was done at the cross. Research it. Like, I just hear people, like, anyway, let me stop that. Let me stay focused. So that's what I feel like. We need to drop this idea of judgment. We need to drop this idea of separate otherness, like we talked about during Pride Month, and how, like, Christy talked a lot about othering.
Yeah.
And how we're so good as Christians, quote Christians, at othering.
Even ourselves, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Especially probably in some cases.
Yeah. So we need to drop all that, and we need to recognize oneness. We need to recognize that we are made of the stuff of divinity, and we have everything already built inside of us that we need to heal and then to help another person, to love our neighbor. That's all. To me, that's what the greatest commandment is. They asked Jesus, what's the greatest commandment? He said, love God, love other people. That's what those two things are. Heal is loving God, because you're loving yourself enough to get healthy. Like, because yourself, that's you and God. And then love your neighbor, that's taking what you've the work you've done in healing and bringing that to the world. Mm-hmm. That's me loving my neighbor and just living it out. It's not judging my neighbor that they're going to hell. It's not convincing them of doing anything. It's just loving them right where they are.
Yeah.
Because their journey looks different than mine. They might need to stay in a super religious church because that's what makes them feel safe. Like, that's okay. Cool, be there. Do your thing. Like, I can still love that person.
I love the freedom that people find in super religious churches. I think to an extent it just makes me so happy for them that, like, they have this freedom and this appreciation and all these things for a super religious church. Like, that's beautiful. Just as beautiful, I would say, even as someone who's the complete opposite. Like, the people you're gonna hug at a pride parade and give them free mom hugs, like, they're the same person.
Yeah.
I think the more that people can realize that, the more freedom and love they will have. Like, that's beautiful. I just put a really cool picture in my mind of seeing someone at, like, a rave or something, because everyone's, like, standing there watching someone on stage, a concert, whatever, and then someone at church, because they're same thing, standing there looking at a stage watching someone sing. Same person. Living two totally different lifestyles, but they all have the stuff of God. They all have the stuff of each other, because we're all the stuff of God. We're all full of freedom. We're all full of love. And I think the day that each person can come to realize that is the day of, like, world freedom.
It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
As we know it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what rapture is going to be.
Yeah.
It's like, if we find that place as a collective, as a human collective, where we can genuinely stop trying to force someone else's journey in any particular direction, because the stuff that's already in them, that's in their DNA, that came from God, is drawing them to that. Like, that's what helps me also to feel the freedom to not judge someone else's journey. And so that's why, like, the uber religious person in the cult, like, of course I want more for them, just because that's probably just my ego, like, wanting more for them. But because if I look at my past in a cult, I can still look back and see beauty now. And at the time, I was experiencing what I thought was beauty. For that time and that place and that space of my life and my head knowledge and my heart knowledge and my awareness knowledge, like my level of awareness, all those things I was experiencing were beautiful. I'm just at a different level now. I'm just at a different level of awareness, a different level of understanding. And so now sitting in this place, as I look back to my past, sometimes I can tend to be sad because I wish this level on that version of me, because there's a part of me probably that feels like I missed out on a lot or I didn't experience a lot. But that's just my ego not remembering that at the time I was content in a lot of ways. I was unaware of a lot of things. And so I was perfectly fine. And I was learning a lot that was very helpful for me now. So like as I look back and I kind of sit at the seat of my highest self and I look at my whole journey, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm at peace with it all. I'm not angry about, things that were done to me or, whatever. Like, because I can see like the progression and I can see like, oh, I picked up that lesson right there. Oh, I learned a very valuable thing right there. Oh, that was, you know what I mean? So if I can stay out of ego and like recognize that if that's what happened to me on my journey and I was in a cult, like, why would I think it's not happening for other people?
Yeah.
It is happening for every person. And so the place that I get the privilege and the freedom to stand in now is to allow that to happen and to allow spirit without my intervention of like, you're going to hell. Let spirit draw them into the it is finished, into the I am, because that's what spirit does. That's the whole job of spirit. Jesus said, if I don't leave, you're not going to experience this other thing, this other dynamic that I'm putting, by the way, inside of you, not in a book, not in an organization. I'm putting it in you, individual, to lead you, to guide you, to care for you, to love you, to express everything about me to you,
to free you,
Enjoy it, relish in it,
yeah,
wallow around in it like a pig in mud. It's all good. It really, really is, because don't forget, it is finished. I did all the hard things already. Stop doing the hard things that you don't need to do anymore. I did them all. Way better than you, by the way. In way more complete of a manner than you could do ever. So that's what freedom is to me. And that's what I feel like freedom, I feel like that's how collectively we're going to experience more and more freedom, is as we walk in that freedom as healed and healing people, currently healing ourselves. Like it's always a constant healing of ourselves, and layer by layer by layer by layer. It's just a journey. That as we do that, other people around us are going to see it. They're going to be drawn to it. They're going to be attracted to it. The people who are ready for it are going to be attracted to it. And the people who aren't ready to do that healing work are going to fight you. They're going to argue with you. They're going to debate you on the scriptures. They're going to come at you with the Bible is the word of God. It is inerrant, infallible. If it doesn't say it in the Bible, it don't exist, and by the way, they'll, ignore all the things that Jesus said about, the many references we've made in throughout this whole month of how Jesus taught us to live. They'll always go to like the hell scriptures and the damnation and the, I don't know, the responsibility and the duty scriptures. because those are the things that are currently setting them free.
Yeah. They're
And so
not ready.
they think that that's how they're going to make other people free. And so now we, as healed people who know differently or at a different level of awareness, we can allow them that space, thank them for their deep concern for us, because they're genuinely concerned because of where they're at in their belief system. And so, man, thank you so much for caring about me in that way. I happen to believe differently than you, but I can still sit across from you and love you. I had to say that with a friend on Facebook. We were kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I was like, you know what? It's okay that we disagree. I have no desire to debate with you. Where I want to land is that we obviously disagree on this subject, but at the end of the day, I know you love Jesus. I know you love your family. I know you love your neighbor, as do I. Let's rest there. And it's a freeing, beautiful place to land.
Yeah.
He's like, if I'm wrong, show me the scriptures and tell me why I'm wrong. Convince me why I'm wrong through the scriptures. But to me, it's like the Bible is useful for teaching, correcting, rebuking. The word of God is a man named Jesus. So we're just not coming at things on even the same level.
Right.
And so there is no convincing.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah. It's a totally different walking plane of like where you're at. And I've had conversations with people through that. And it's been like, for me, I didn't have those words. So I just kind of sat there and I was like, well, this has been fun. Like, it's been fun.
Not really.
Yeah. I'm dying inside, but thank you.
Super uncomfortable.
But like, in truth, like the genuine care with which I've had people reach out to me. Like I was discussing Reiki with a friend because I had been like just researching, and by researching I mean experiencing, because I research with my gut. That's my best researcher, because this is just full of overthinking thoughts at the moment. So like I gotta balance things out. Anyway, researching. And so I was just talking to a friend about it, and she was like, I'm gonna risk our friendship and just tell you, like, pull up the scripture, reference this.
Yeah.
But she was literally like ready to risk the entire and ready to risk our friendship. And she was like, Joelle, and I love you so much that I will risk our friendship for that. I was like, well, if you say that, I don't care what you have to say now. Yeah. I'm just full of love. Yeah. That you're gonna risk something like obviously I do care. If anything, I care more about what you're gonna say, but like, yeah, all judgment, all trigger feelings, all what's she gonna say? I don't care. As soon as someone's like, I'll risk our friendship, I'm like, no, you don't. Just disagree with me. It's okay. Yeah. Walk your journey, walk your path, love your life, love yourself, love your neighbor, be free. Yeah. It's so freeing. And like,
it's just that there's so much fear in the Christian world, because like there's like this boundary line, right? And beyond it is not safe. And
we're out of the safe circle.
The devil is deceitful. He disguises himself as an angel of light and prowls around waiting to pounce on you. And so you have to constantly be vigilant, constantly be aware, all of these things, right? Like those are things in the Bibles where they get that, you know? And so when you don't understand the deeper mysticism behind all of that, that's just massively fearful. Yeah. To even step your toe in the water of like something like Reiki or chakras or meditation, or, you know, like, but they don't even realize how many Christian practices are the same things with a different hat on. Like there's no awareness to any of that. And so it's just interesting to me. Yeah. So like, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was gonna say it's just so freeing that I think more now even just appreciate that other people have other opinions. And like, while I live in a community, and I guess I haven't shared this here yet, but I'm in a community where there's not a lot of people who share my spiritual opinions.
They're not deconstructing like
Oh yeah, not deconstructing, not reconstructing. They have a pretty standard Midwestern view of the Bible, religion, Jesus, etc. And so for me, I was actually talking to you before this about how I kind of feel like instead of having a community, I feel kind of caged up sometimes. And I saw that kind of on social media, and I pulled that definition for myself. And I was like, yeah, I kind of relate to that. Mm-hmm. Just because I don't always feel like I can be fully authentic. Mm-hmm. And I can't fully, like, I can't just dump what I'm talking about or thinking about or experiencing and be like, guys, I'm thinking about this. Isn't that crazy? I think they would look at me and be like, yeah, we care for you so much. Please stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that sense, I feel kind of this sense of like being trapped, but I also feel this sense of like freedom in the sense that they can have their journey. Mm-hmm. They're not ready yet. Mm-hmm. And just because I am doesn't mean they need to know it.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I get to bask in my freedom all by myself.
And you find little pockets where you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have the job of saving them. Yeah. And I almost think I was trying to save them because at first I was really having issues with like not being able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think I was bringing in kind of the old feeling of like, let me save you. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Into the new reconstruction. But I don't have to save them.
Yeah.
They love Jesus. They love themselves. They love their neighbor. Done.
And even if they are lacking any of those things,
Spirit's got it.
Spirit's got it.
Peace. I'm sitting here, enjoying my life.
Yep.
With my chakras and my Reiki.
I'm glad you brought up Reiki because, you know, as we finish up here, I also have gotten into a realm of things that my old religious version would have said I would if I engaged in those behaviors, I was not a Christian for sure. And I was in danger of going to hell. And so I want to encourage anyone who might be listening who is like reconstructing their own journey, like just remember it is finished. Like there is no fear required. Because if everything has been redeemed, like think about the Bible even. The Bible is a book that is used to kill, torment, and make other people's lives hell.
Yeah.
Some people do those things, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what is it? The something Baptist will you're too young. There was this group of people in the Midwest here. They were a unique sect of they called themselves Baptist, some kind of special type of Baptist. And they would go around with their Bibles in hand and scream and yell and spew hateful things to people, like gay people or military veterans or like anyone they thought was not living the way that they interpreted the Bible to say they should be living.
Wow.
And that's not the only group. Like it happens all the time where random groups interpret the Bible a certain way and use it to abuse people. Does that make the Bible bad? Does that make the Bible evil? Does that make the Bible a tool of witchcraft and demonry because the people are acting like little hellions? If not, why are you applying the same logic to other things like yoga or Reiki or something like that? Just because there are people who may take a tool and use it in a particular way does not mean the tool itself is bad.
More than likely it's the user.
Well, it's always user error.
Yeah. Always user. Yeah.
It's always user error.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage people who are reconstructing to just it's like the scripture where Paul was like, yo, check your conscience. If there's meat at the table that was offered to a god, or like in some kind of sacrificial what's it called,
Tradition.
if they were performing a sacrifice or something, like you're not supposed to eat the meat of that was being used at a sacrifice or something, like that was some kind of Jewish law, I think. If there are people at the table who firmly believe that, and like it would bother their conscience if you ate that meat, like they would be severely tormented inside. Like, don't eat the meat while you're there at the dinner. Like, wait till you're not with them and eat the meat on your own. Like, if it doesn't bother your conscience. If you're fine with the meat because it's just meat, like that's just how you see it, you're free to live in that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're with your neighbor, the love you have for your neighbor trumps how you feel in your conscience about that thing. So like, if I'm totally fine with tarot cards, if they help me communicate to the God I know I am a part of, then maybe I just do that privately. I don't show up at a Christian Bible talk, pull out my tarot cards, and be like, all right, guys, let's hear from the Spirit of the Lord.
I would love to see that what would happen. Like, that would be really bad, but it would be really funny.
That's not loving my neighbor at that point, right? But like when I'm at home and I'm in my prayer closet and I'm connecting with God, I'm having a listening moment and I'm struggling with something and I'm like, man, I'm a visual. I need some help kind of seeing through this situation. Can you give me something more? And like, and I have that as a tool that it doesn't bother my conscience at all. Paul says in the Bible, I'm free to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, by the way, tarot cards weren't even around back then. But other things were, like casting lots. That was like throwing loons, or like, things that witches were set on fire for a few hundred years ago. So all that to say, like, going forward as a people who are reconstructing, just check your own conscience. If you're fine with doing yoga, it doesn't bother your conscience, you feel more connected with God by doing it, do it. You're not like, oopsies, I let demons in. I don't believe that. I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't believe that demons have that kind of power over us, because Jesus conquered them on the cross. It is finished. I need to have that like embroidered on a pillow or something. You'd think they were important words. Why have we forgotten them?
Yeah. It makes me think about, sorry, I was kind of thinking of an analogy, but I was thinking, we talked about the kid in the candy store. I was thinking about this kid with a toy, and one kid might be great with this toy and he might get so much joy and usefulness in learning about, I don't know, maybe it's like one of those things with like the rings, that goes on the one thing. Maybe he's having fun learning about shapes, and he's just like, his brain is expanding and he's just having a great old time. And what if his little sibling comes and picks it up and hits someone else with it? That toy is not full of witchcraft and evil because one kid used it for evil. And it doesn't mean that this other kid can't use it for good. And I know that's like a really small example, but
it applies.
It's how we use it.
Yeah.
And it's how we allow it into our lives. Like, one kid is like, ooh, what can I learn?
The toy itself is not the gateway to evil.
Yeah.
Evil does not come up out of the toy. The toy is just the toy. The thing is just the thing.
Yeah.
It has no power other than the power we give it.
Yeah. Exactly. So if your little toddler is pulling demons out of toys, my bad. My bad. I'm kidding. Maybe get that checked.
Get that checked.
Oh my gosh. Therapy. Woo. Oh my goodness.
I think we've hit on some really great stuff this month, and I'm really excited to pull these episodes out. And I feel like it really came at a really great time after Pride Month.
Yeah.
And just, all the things that we learned last month about, loving people well and loving people who are different from us, and loving people, especially that as former toxic Christians, we demonized, like it's kind of come full circle this month to be like, let people have their journey and don't demonize things, like there's no need to do that. That's not what Jesus called us to.
Yeah.
So let's just walk in our freedom and learn more and more every day what that looks like. And if it feels better, if it feels more like love, if it feels more like peace, more like joy, more like happiness, it's probably freedom.
And just a reminder for myself, as just as much as anyone, it goes both ways. It's not just the super religious that need to possibly loosen up a little bit and let those not super religious people have their life. It's also people who are not so religious, and people like me who are kind of in the middle and kind of weird, but like
yes, you're so weird.
Who did so terribly weird. But like people who are not as religious, looking at the super religious, not looking at them judgmental,
right,
and being like, ew, these Catholics have 3-hour services and kneel half the time. Like, okay, great. Let them have their journey. What's yours like? Share it. Bring it. Come to the podcast with it. Like, those are the things that matter. And I think for me, like, I got really good at like not othering, as we talked about last month, othering the people who are not so religious. And now I'm having to like turn around and be like, oh yeah.
Yes.
You know, not other the people I used to be.
Yes.
That's right.
And that's very common. And most people who travel this deconstruction journey hit that moment too.
Yeah.
So you're not alone. It's just part of the process.
Yeah.
So embrace it and love it. Just like we talked about in April.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So good. We're going to ruffle so many feathers, but also have so many friends. Yeah. Like, we're going to find the people who are meant to find us.
Yeah, for sure.
That's exciting.
I think, just being authentic, just sharing our truth will attract the people who are ready to hear, and people who aren't ready will
unsubscribe.
Go away. And they'll come back around maybe. Like, maybe it's just presenting an idea they're not ready yet, but then like maybe, I don't know, in some amount of time they'll be like, let
me go listen to the podcast again.
Let me go back to that, and maybe I'm ready for a little bit of that now. So you never know.
Yeah.
We just got to be ourselves and share the journey. And thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability and your openness and sharing your journey.
Thank you.
I'm glad thank you.
No, thank you. I'm glad we get to journey together. It makes it way fun.
You do have community.
I do. Yeah. And my family.
Love you.
Love you.
Fade to black.